talk about. Good morning. It is Monday. A lot better of a morning here than Los Angeles, California, the city of so called angels. We'll have a lot more on this coming up this morning as we get going. What a scene. What a scene. We'll come back to that, but hope you had a good New England weekend, whatever you're doing. Yesterday turned out to be okay, and we still have the Canadian wildfire. Speaking of all the politics today, I wonder if we can levy tariffs against Canada for that haze and smoke. We still have some unhealthy air qualities. It did it again yesterday. Hazy all day from those Canadian wildfires. But anyway, again, hope you had a good week. And our poll question up on X this morning at the Pulse of an H. Do you approve of President Trump and the administration deploying the National Guard to support the law enforcement efforts in LA with the riots? Yes or no? And I think it's a big yes, and more to come on that. J-Dog on the boards, Jack, Heath in the Capitol. We have a lot going on this morning. And hey, Google, hey, Alexa, let's start with the basics. Hey, Google, hey, Alexa, play the Pulse of NH. Take that anywhere with you. We have literally thousands and thousands of people streaming online each morning, especially 9 to 10 from all over the region, all over New England, all over the Boston, Maine, New Hampshire metro, and nationally, and into Europe and right into Helsinki, Finland, believe it or not. And a lot of people in Europe listening. Good morning. Later in the afternoon there, hey, Alexa, hey, Google, play the Pulse of NH. Locally, we've expanded our AM and FM network, adding an FM signal strength in the seacoast of New Hampshire, in addition to WTSN, AM and FM Dover, Rochester, up the Spalding, Hampton, Portsmouth, Rye. We've added 98.7 FM, HD2 as well, digital clarity. Lakes region, we have you covered, AM and FM, plus 98.3 FM, 107.7 FM, everywhere else. Hey, Google, hey, Alexa, play the Pulse. And it's just Friday, J-Dog, this Friday, we'll be doing the show live at Gino's in downtown or in Portsmouth. Mechanic Street, Gino's, it's a classic. It's a legend. It's where the locals eat, and folks love to visit Francesca and the team at Gino's Chowder and Sandwich Shop. It's been there a long time. Her mother, Evelyn Marconi, got that going, and Francesca got things going, and she's still cooking, no pun intended. Great soups, chowders, lobster rolls. Believe it or not, I love a tuna fish BLT there with a cup of clam chowder. And we'll be there Friday, 9 to noon. Come by and say hi. It's right in the heart of history near Prescott Park in Portsmouth, near Pierce Island, the bridge there, and the lobster boats are right there. They come in and drop off lobsters right at her dock. And, of course, the Tobias Lear House is right near there on Hunking Street. A lot of history in Portsmouth. That will be this Friday. J-Dog, hope you had a good weekend. Not a bad one yesterday. Did you like that Canadian air quality? And by the way, I wanted to get to the YouTube. Watch us on YouTube, by the way, the Pulse of NH. But, Jid, I'll give you a minute if you want to pull up the results from our Friday poll question up on X. But the current one is, I'll let Jid catch up here. The current one is, do you support the president of the administration deploying the National Guard? So I'm going to just tell you what I think. That's what we do on the show. And then if you have an opinion, you want to defend Gavin Newsom of California, you are free to do that here. No yelling and screaming or name calling. 603-228-2080. If you think Governor Newsom is a great leader and doing the right thing, now he wants to sue the Trump administration, blaming the National Guard for the lawlessness in LA. I got to tell you, this is the same. I'll be polite. I said no name calling. I'm going to be polite. This is the same politician who was sucking up to President Donald Trump when he was an abject failure during the Pacific Palisades and the fires that burned so much of the LA area and those homes. Remember that? He was, first of all, the mayor there, I think, was in another country at some event. The mayor, when these fires, and they had warned that these fires might happen. They had the whole mess. Talk about, Pandora's box of dismal failed leadership from the fire department, the mayor, the governor. Newsom was nowhere to be seen as that part of LA burned until he showed up a little bit. And then the finger pointing between the mayor and the governor. Oh, my goodness. But when President Trump rolled around to help restore the flow of water to those fires, bring in the aid, oh, Newsom. Oh, Gavin. Oh, baby. He was right at the airport sucking up to Donald Trump, praising Donald Trump. They went to the meetings with the mayor, and the president sat there, and everyone's making excuses. Oh, Newsom loved Trump coming in and the leadership to put out the fires. I remember that. I don't think they're talking about that right now. I don't think they're talking. Now he's blaming Trump, calling him all these names for the lawlessness and making the riots. Have you seen what's going on there? I got to tell you, I got some sleep, I guess, last night. I hope you had a good weekend. If someone gave me a $10 million home anywhere near LA, I'd donate it to the homeless. I would not want to spend a night. I got to tell you, I don't want to go back to years ago when I was in the TV news business and we had our RTNDA, the regional, the news directors convention in LA. And all I know, I stay in this hotel in LA. We were at the conventions, wherever the meetings were during the day. And at night, I looked out my window, and this was a long time ago, but not much has changed in LA. I think it's a cesspool on this earth. I really do. I think it's an embarrassment of a place to live. That's me. That's how I feel. I've been there enough to leave it. And years ago, when we had the news directors convention in LA, I remember I was like on the 10th or 11th floor in this hotel. 1 or 2 in the morning, all I heard was banging sirens. I looked out the window. I saw car fires burning all around the hotel, behind in the parking lot. Just bunch of lawless punks and thugs lighting cars on fire in LA. That was the fun thing to do. And when you called down to the front desk saying, well, I'm not going to go out at midnight anyway. Not I won't say it. I'm not that foolish. They said, just stay in your room, sir. Hopefully they won't come into the hotel. We have security in the lobby. I'm like, okay. They're burning the cars in the parking lot. I didn't have a car there. I was visiting. So we were walking around. I got to tell you, what's going on out there? 2,000 agitators. Why? Who came up with this stupid word, agitators? Agitators? What the heck? That's what they say on college campuses when they're taking over agitators. How about just lawless rioters? Burning the American flag, burning vehicles. You just heard the report, burning the electric vehicles, throwing rock. And so the police needed help. They were overwhelmed. You're sending the National Guard to restore law and order. What a nightmare. What a nightmare. And I love the reaction from not only Governor Newsom, but others. Oh, these are peaceful. These are peaceful? This is peaceful protest? Burning vehicles, destroying property, throwing rocks at law enforcement. This is peaceful protest? What do they think? We're idiots? This is peaceful protest? This is peaceful? Oh, my goodness. I remember during the summers of the Antifa, the anti-police stuff that was going on in American cities. They were burning down police precincts, courthouses, urinating, throwing bricks and rocks at police, shooting police, assassinating police officers as they sat in their cruisers doing their job, going into the stores, just robbing the stores, burning the city, that was peaceful. The whole defund, that was peaceful. These are peaceful protests going on? Are you kidding me? This is peaceful? What is lawlessness? What is like unlawful protest to you in LA? 2,000 people burning, throwing, and I'm just gonna tell you, I look at this and I'm like, oh my goodness, this is peaceful protest. That's what we're hearing from some Democrat lawmaker. And Governor Newsom, I gotta go back to this. You get what you vote for. You get what you vote for. Let me repeat that. You get what you vote for. When Pacific Palisades was burning out of control, the mayor of LA was out in another country, knowing that this fire risk was that high. She's gone. Then she comes back and she's blaming the fire chief. The fire chief is blaming the mayor. Then Newsom comes in, saying that the local officials aren't keeping him in the loop. He's the governor of the state. I said at the time, the difference between leadership in Florida with Ron DeSantis during those hurricanes and Helene and Ian and all that. He was there 24/7 with the local folks. He wasn't blaming anyone. He was solving problems and leading. He was leading by example. That was DeSantis in Florida. When the fires were burning in Pacific Palisades, all whiny Gavin Newsom was doing was blaming the local officials. The mayor was blaming the fire chief. The fire chief was blaming the mayor. Do you ever notice how no one's responsible for anything in certain circles politically? No one's responsible. The finger pointing. And then Governor Gavin Newsom President Trump flies out there. He meets with local officials. They do this special. They basically get the water flowing to those ponds and reserves that were dry. He's money's pouring in. He goes to meetings. President Trump and Newsom's there sucking up to Trump. Oh, what leadership! The president meets him at the airport, hugs him, photo ops, hangs out with them. They go in. Newsom with Trump. Trump's doing a great job helping them with the fires. Now he's blaming Trump for lawlessness in L.A. 2,000 rioters burning and destroying the part of LA. And he's blaming Trump for sending in the National Guard. In fact, he's going to file suit today. If that's I tell you right now, Newsom epitomizes a spineless, politically motivated human being who believes in nothing but himself. I saw it during COVID. I saw it during the dinners he was having when they shut down the restaurants and he's punishing small business owners. We had that person with a New Hampshire tie on my show years ago calling in when that was going on, saying Newsom is destroying the small business, the restaurants, and he's out dining with 20 of his VIPs. This is what you get. And I hope Gavin Newsom runs for president as a Democrat. I hope he leads the field because right now, I don't know who's running for president as a Democrat. Trump's not running again. I don't know who is, but Newsom would be great to get out there because it would be such a stark contrast. Looking at Los Angeles, California, where you've led, this is leadership by example during COVID, during the worst fires that ever hit the state, and now riots and lawlessness over so-called ICE enforcement of illegal migration. What better way to crystallize the difference in America? And I got news for you. There's probably 2 or 3 people out there who agree with Gavin Newsom listening. And I'll respect your point of view because that's the way I was raised. But I got to tell you, 8 out of 10 people coming off their week and seeing these images, burning the American flag, standing on top of police cars, everything on fire in LA, and the president restoring law and order. I think a lot of people are saying, "Oh, I think Trump's doing the right thing here." I may be wrong, but that's our poll question up on X. You can weigh in at the Pulse of H. Do you support President Trump deploying the National Guard to restore law and order in burning, lawless LA? Oh, my goodness. I look at it, I go, I don't even know if that's part of this country. Could give me a $10-20 million home, and I wouldn't step foot in it. That's sub commentary. Hey, Alexa, hey, Google, play the Pulse of an H. You got Michael Graham coming up talking about illegal migration or illegal immigrants and the policies, going right into the midterms right here at home. Hey, Alexa, hey, Google, play the Pulse of an H. Back in a few. All right, welcome back. And our poll question up on X at the Pulse of an Age. Do you agree with you support the Trump administration calling in the National Guard to deal with the lawless riots after the ICE activities in Los Angeles, California? Yes or no? That's a big yes by me. No concerns, by the way, on my end. Restore the law and order. That's not peaceful protest. But what do you think? JLog results from Friday. That's surprising to me as of Friday. It looks like they've already simmered that thing down. All right, speaking of legal immigration policies, illegal migrant stuff, migration, you name it, ICE, all these subjects, especially LA, what we're seeing. Michael Graham, with some local context, New Hampshire Journal, talking about the midterms and some of the reaction from office holders here at home. Good morning, Michael. Well, better than you could give me a 20, actually, make it a $20 million home in LA, and I'd give it away to the homeless. So blame Trump, not the lawlessness of LA. Did I lose you, Michael? Oh, no. Yeah, this is, well, there's many things here. This is Governor Gavin Newsom leadership on display. Blame, point finger. Saw that during the Pacific Palisades wildfires. Blame the mayor, blame the fire chief. All blame out there. But this is dramatic. 2,000 rioters, lawless rioters, lighting fires, burning stuff, destroying property. This is not. But was this peaceful? Was this peaceful this weekend? Was this peaceful? What does that mean? Mostly peaceful, mostly peaceful. The fires so anyway, but you're gonna blame the administration for what's going on in LA with lawlessness and all these so they have a handle on it? Did the local police have a handle on this? Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know, but I look at politicians try and have things both ways, and I think it's interesting. I don't mean to bring up Stephanie Shaheen in the first congressional district when I had her on the show a week or so ago, because she's the one running and as a serious candidate, which she is now. Talking about her background. Part of it is as a varsity Portsmouth High School volleyball coach. So when I asked her about this idea of transgender, boys playing girl sports, which is a very, a hot button issue in New Hampshire. If you look at Bow, New Hampshire, neighboring Maine, she kind of tries to answer it both ways versus just saying, no, I don't think it's a good idea, or yes, I do think it's a good idea. And I think sometimes when you're hearing Representative Goodlander trying to say, I am very concerned, what does that mean? Does that mean if you had a vote on restoring law and order, would you not go in to restore the law and order? Just say you would not let the local police handle it. That's an answer. Or do you favor going in with the National Guard to simmer things down to end the lawlessness and the burning and the riots? Yes or no? But deeply concerned. Just come out, and that's what. But that's political. People are afraid to just in office answer the question with an answer, yes or no. Right, 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 right. Good for him. Good for him. But let's be honest. Why does Maggie Goodlander say she's deeply concerned about the response to National Guard when she probably could just say these protests should not they should be peaceful. There should be no need for this. Okay. And Stephanie, it's because they're afraid that if they answer the question truthfully the way they feel, they're going to upset about, that far, far left side of the progressive base. They don't want to upset people who believe that boys should be playing in girls sports, or that California, ICE is wrong. The whole thing is bad, and they support the protests and the violence and burning vehicles and throwing rocks at ICE. There are people who absolutely believe that what's happening out there is the fault of ICE agents, not illegal immigrants, not lawlessness. It's all about ICE and the border czar and Donald Trump. And this is they're the problem. So they're afraid to upset that far, far sort of left progressive side of their political aisle because they don't want to go to a meeting and be yelled at by those same people. Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Yep. And 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 Michael, I just have to point this out because this is the commonsensical, Swampscott High School in me that my friends will tell you I've never changed. So, did you notice, or was it just me? Stay with me on this because we have a minute, Michael, and I hope your brisket was good this weekend. Did did you notice and remember when the Doge stuff started cutting in and the vilifying and the hatred that transferred to Elon Musk? Did you remember the king of the vehicles, the Molotov cocktails of the vehicles? Okay, do you remember all that? Okay. They hated Musk. They couldn't stand Musk. Keep hands off our federal employees. Hands off. No waste, no taxpayer waste. Remember how that limited number of people are going out in broad daylight, breaking the law, not knowing there's security cameras on most Teslas, and keying the Teslas. They thought that was cool. Do you remember that? Okay. That same mentality now is shifted because Musk has become less cool or he's moved on. And the same group of people, and I don't like to put people in the same generalization, but I notice because I know some of them personally. I mean this. I know some that are, I guess you could say, family, not direct, but sort of in my circles. The same group that could not stand Elon Musk is now totally will not objectively say it's a good thing we closed the southern border. They won't talk about the reduction in fentanyl deaths like in Virginia as a result of shutting the border. They've keyed in on the ICE arrest that are being happening in Boston and around the country. And all they know is they've grown to despise and hate. No, it used to be Elon Musk, the same people would post. Now it's ICE agents. ICE agents and the Trump administration. They've shifted their hate from that now to ICE. Anytime ICE is moving into an area to round up a bunch of people, they are absolutely this whole thing of rounding up illegal migrants now is appalling and terrible, but they won't talk about any of the good as shutting the southern border. I think it's the same lane now that's just sort of, and then 3 months from now, I hate to say it, it'll be something else. Oh, they'll love them again after they loved them before. Then they hated them. Now they're going to love them. Okay. Thank you, Michael. All right, we come back. We'll Doug Tang is coming up in a little bit, talking about the economic side of things on the markets. And by the way, behind the scenes, after the phone call the other day that President Trump had with the leader of China, the Trump Xi conversations now in London, China and U.S. talking some trade. Hey Google, hey Alexa, by the Pulse of an H. Back in a moment. So I just was talking with Graham about how quickly some people that the agitators, the people who are agitated, who comes up with the same people that name winter storms in New England, a snowstorm, who comes up with this agitators? Who comes up with this? You know, when the um I just have to point out what I call hypocrisy when I see it. So I'm looking at hypocrisy and I look at this and I'm saying, okay, we are looking at I'm just making a note here to a listener. I'm trying to just sort of look at hypocrisy. So when the college kiddies were being organized not recently, talking and not recently at Harvard or Columbia. I'm talking like a year ago in the commencement. Remember when they started taking over the administration buildings, the open protest on middle of the day, Columbia, New York, different universities. They were being organized by the media. This is the media, mainstream media. Professional agitators were organizing the protest because the college kiddies, the bubble wrapped college kiddies, couldn't point out to a map for you where Gaza is, the Gaza Strip. They couldn't point out on a map for you parts of the Middle East, but they were taking over administration buildings because the professional agitators were organizing protests. So they didn't tell the college kiddies about October 7th what Hamas did. They didn't tell them that Hamas is a terrorist organization. And if you look at their 2017 papers for forming the obliteration of the state of Israel, Hamas. And they don't tell you that Hamas is the governing political body, the government of the Palestinian people in Gaza that they want to free. So when they talk about free Palestine, the kiddies weren't told by the professional agitators, hey, maybe you could start by freeing Palestine by freeing them of a terrorist organization that is governing Gaza. But they don't tell them all that. So I don't know but the media started using terms like professional agitators. I'm like, what? Who are professionally paid protesters, Jack? Okay. Okay. So I go to what's going on in LA, and the media, instead of calling them lawless rioters, they're calling them agitators. Again, who comes up with this stuff? I get the Weather Channel for marketing when there's a tropical storm depression or system. They might call it, tropical storm, I don't know. I'm being hypothetical. Fernandez, and it's going to grow into a hurricane. So someone comes up with this for marketing, and everyone starts knowing the hurricane by name or the tropicals. But agitators, the professional agitators. Okay. How about people that don't want to work for a living and respect the law? Oh, no, we couldn't call them that, Jack. They're professional agitators. They go around and do a professional protest like the carnival or the circus used to do anywhere. They'll put a show on because they're paid. Okay. So they get, so I'm looking at these scenes in LA, and what a contrast it's going to be because no one's talking about what's happening. And I'm sure the agitators are going to maybe try and be there. But no one's talking about Saturday. So do you know what's happening this Saturday? I just heard that wonderful Win Waste Innovations, one of our great new sponsors and partners, Win Waste Innovations for Flag Day. We had a member of the Daughters of the American Revolution in our studios the other day, how to properly dispose of American flag. Now, I want you to think about this contrast. How to properly handle and dispose of an American flag. And truth be told, I understand the right of every American with free speech. If they want to stamp on that flag, if they want to spin on it, tear it up, I guess they can. They want to respect it and properly handle that flag when it's tattered and worn and dispose of it properly this Saturday, Flag Day. People don't even know this. The people that are burning the flags in LA, burning the American flag, they don't know that in 1777, that official American flag, the Continental Congress, and there are ways to respect the flag because they're not in that category and they never will be. Well, guess what? I have a right to tell you what category I am. I'm in the category of respecting the American flag. of appreciating our freedoms and the people who keep us free in the military. Less than 1% serve, 340 million Americans. And as the son of a young Marine, I remember when he was younger, he not only told me how to dispose of an American flag or hang an American flag, but he taught me how to fold an American flag, how to store an American flag. And I still have the flag that was given to my late mom when she was in her late 30s when he died by a Marine. That's still folded properly in a duffel bag that has my dad's name on it with his dog tag numbers and a thing etched on the side with his name, his dog tag, and Paris Island, SC. I have that still because I'm in the category of respecting. So let's look at this Saturday coming out of a weekend, and it's a contrast to Los Angeles, California. And what a contrast it's going to be. This Saturday, Flag Day, the 14th, this Saturday, June 14th, this Saturday in Washington, D.C., is going to be a celebration, the 250th anniversary of the U.S. Army. That's right. It's going to be a parade. It's going to be a lot of flags in Washington, D.C. this weekend. It's a military parade and events this Saturday, marking the 250th anniversary with a full day of programming, a military parade on the National Mall, and there's a whole schedule, the Army Birthday Festival. So here's the National Guard being deployed to L.A. to put out the fires of agitators and protest. Lawlessness. And this Saturday, you're going to see a lot of respect for the U.S. Army and our troops and our military and the United States of America and the flag. And it's going to drive some people who hate the American flag bonkers. This Saturday is going to drive some of these professional agitators. They're going to start going back to start keying Teslas. They're not going to know what to do. This Saturday, you're going to see more patriotism in Washington, D.C., which is a stark contrast from this weekend in Los Angeles, California. You want to protest? Protest peacefully. You can't tell me these protests in L.A. are peaceful. We're not idiots. We saw that Joe Biden, the former president, was too old and too confused. They all said he was fine. We're not idiots. Don't tell me as a politician that these protests in L.A., when I see burning vehicles in the middle of the road, people hurling rocks and bricks at cars going by, 2,000 people clogging a highway with fires everywhere. That's peaceful? What kind of cookout do you have at your house in the weekend? That's peaceful? Are you kidding me? So I'm wondering if some of these they're not gonna like Saturday in Washington, D.C. actually celebrating America and the United States Army, 250 years with a lot of flags. They're not gonna like it. Oh my goodness, they're gonna be upset because they hate this country. There are a core of people, and that's what bugs me about some of our universities and the far, far left stuff that's been happening on our universities, which I would tell you is more anti-Semitic and anti-Israel. I saw, by the way, in Boston, I just saw this recently. I posted. We have to move to a break here. You know, Boston, Massachusetts, Boston, you've heard of it, is opening a new, wonderful, beautiful Holocaust museum in Boston. I've been to the one in Washington, took my kids when they were young. We visited it all day. What a mood you're in when you leave and you see the area where they made shoes from the skin of Jewish kids and babies or lampshades from the hair. 6.2 million people, Jewish people. They're going to open a Holocaust museum in Boston. I think that's good. My question is, are the kids and the agitators from Harvard and some of the universities going to go to that museum? And are they going to indirectly glorify Hamas? Are they going to go to those museums? Are they going to deface the museum? Are they going to glorify? Are they going to deface the museum, the Holocaust museum in Boston with flags of Hamas? I'm just curious. I hope not. God, I hope not. But this Saturday will be a wonderful contrast to L.A. with the 250th Army anniversary in Washington, D.C. Commentary, 603-228-2080. Doug Tegnan, talk about the markets next. Getting some fun reaction, contrasting what the fires and the images you're seeing from LA and these riots with what's happening, what's going to happen Saturday in Washington, D.C., and in places like New Hampshire for Flag Day. A lot of red, white, and blue, respecting and honoring the American flag and the 250th anniversary of the U.S. Army. Oh my goodness, what a contrast. Those professional agitators burning the flags in the vehicles and hurling bricks at the heads of police. They're not going to know what a contrast. They're going to be a little upset Saturday with Flag Day and honoring freedom in America and thanking our army, the same National Guard. They're going to be a little upset Saturday. Maybe a lot of professional agitators better go to Columbia University and study in the library. Maybe not Dartmouth College though, because that's home of Doug Tengden. World Market Advisors. Hey, Doug, how are you? Good. Let's talk economy for a moment. I notice U.S. and China are going to be meeting in London behind closed doors after that more than an hour discussion the president had with the leader of China. What else do we have going on? Yeah, it's interesting, Doug. We had, I think it was Taylor was her first name. Was it Bowie or Bowie from Bank of America Institute, one of our sponsors and partners last Thursday on talking about this is interesting, Doug. Made a note when you're on worldmarketadvisors.com, Doug Tengden, economist on the economic front. Uh, Doug, I want to make a note from Taylor's interview. This blew my mind. They have about 69 million customers at Bank of America, and she had said that's about you can do the multiple of how many more people that is than New England. And they look at things like their travel, their consumer information that they share with the bank, and they have the Bank of America Institute, so you can look this up. How much they plan to spend on travel this year, even on their pets, as an indicator on their consumer confidence. What do they feel about their job? What do they feel about housing? They put this all together, and it's regionalized now where they feel better, and they're noticing a migration because of house cost and lack of affordable housing in the Northeast and the West, that more people are moving Midwestern and inward and Southeast to buy homes because they can buy them under $500,000. That's a trend, which doesn't surprise me. But overall, they're seeing more resiliency than they might have expected, even if people are worried about things slowing down. Is that any of that? Probably none of that surprises you. Right, right. Well, it's interesting. The Bank of America study, they are seeing with, I think, middle income type consumers, they are seeing a pullback on travel, hotel, and air. I appreciate it, Doug. We'll see where it goes. I think a lot of it locally anyway. And they are seeing this regional breakdown that's differing depending on what part of the country. Because we do in Northeast, we, as you know, we live in a very expensive area in New England. It's very expensive across healthcare, affordable housing, or lack of utility rates. Inflation hits the same here as it would in a grocery store in the Midwest, but all these other indicators are adding to the cost. Very high, expensive place to live here. Yeah, I know. Because they don't want people to build there. All right, thank you, Doug. All right, more on the pulse right after this.